Hello, mixtresses and mixters. This is mixtressrae. You're watching Mixtress video. So I'm going to do a February favorites today. And yeah, I have not tried to pre-prepare at all, except I know what my favorites are and I have them here to show you. But besides that, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So I don't know what the fuck I'm going to say about the things that are my favorites, but I'm here and this is going to be a little bit of a hangout session. You guys like my new rose ring? I'm pretty excited about it. Okay. All right. So in no particular order, just what my hand goes to first. So I have a top 8. I'm keeping track in my journal or in my planner of top 8s. First one is a Perfume. Haha, you can't see which one it is yet. But so I have a top 8 and I'm just going to show them to you now. Yeah. Okay. So let me get out my little journal entry. I have a little perfume journal that so I can read to you the scent notes of this. So this is a Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab perfume called Tumbert. And I know I'm not pronouncing that correctly. But I asked my friend Sylvain, who speaks French, and he said this is basically like a sort of Casanova type, like flirtatious person, kind of. That's what that term means. This is a new scent for me. I got it in December. So this is what the scent description is, according to Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab. Deadly and seductive, vanilla-infused sandalwood, blood musk, antique patchouli, vetiver, lavender, bitter almond, amber, and a trickle of snake oil. And snake oil for them is a fragrance that is, let me see if I can find the description of snake oil, because I probably wrote that somewhere in my... Hold please while I look for it. I know I have it in here somewhere. Snake oil, okay. Their description for snake oil. Deep, rich, earthy notes swirled with vegetal musks, sugared vanilla bean, and dark spices. So, that's what this is. It is some of my favorite scents ever are in this. And this is just interesting. So, this kind of smells like, if you're familiar with Hypnotic Poison, it kind of reminds me of Hypnotic Poison, not like literally, but it's the closest thing to it that I've ever experienced with Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab scents. Because it's just sort of it's like a spicy, vanilla, musky sandalwood. Like I can't really the lavender comes out whenever you first put it on, and then it just, it has this gorgeous vanilla sandalwood staying power. This is one of their I think it's one of their more permanent collections. So you can definitely, this one's an easy one to get a hold of. It's not one that, because they have a lot of perfumes that they put out for a particular holiday or whatever, and then it just goes away forever. This is not one of those. So this is one that you can get anytime, and I'm obsessed with it. I just got it in December and I've just been wearing it almost every day. It's become kind of like a signature scent. And most of the Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab scents, even though I love them and I buy from them, I spend a lot of my money with them. It's rare that I come away with one that's just like an everyday scent. Most of the time, my Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab scents become ritual scents or scents for specific reasons. But this one is just an everyday. Let me smell it right now, and just because I'm not wearing it today, but it's beautiful. And the fact that it's based on, this is like a vampire series, and this is supposed to be a type of vampire that's super seductive. So anyway, love it. Wearing it almost every day. It totally pairs well with my deck that I'm working with this week, which is Dark Wood Tarot. Yeah, so that is one of my favorites for February. Next is a brand new tarot deck that I have already showed on my channel once, which is Julie's JBG Mini Tarot. So recently, Jasmine Beckett Griffith, who is the artist that did all these images, made a bunch of her images, like hundreds of her paintings she made available in the public domain. So Julie made a tarot deck out of her art, and it's really great. I got to have a little bit of input on it, and so it was just a really fun thing to get to be a part of the process of this tarot deck. And I have since become a patron of Jasmine Beckett Griffith, just to kind of like, you know, give her a little bit of money since she didn't get money for this deck. But I just think it's very generous of her to make a bunch of her images available in the public domain. And also, Julie and I have been becoming really close friends, and I love her so much. And so it was just really great to be a part of this process with her. And this deck is really special to me. And she included this image just for me because she knows how much I love ferrets. And I just love it. It's great. I just think it's so much fun. It's a cute little like bridge size. And it's a way for me to appreciate Jasmine Beckett Griffith's art, and also just the sentimentalness of having it having been made by my good friend Julie. So that is that's the second of my favorites from February. Third, what should I show next? I got kind of like a precarious situation going on over here. So I'm going to show you the big thing next. So I made a playlist. I was doing a No Internet February. So if you've made any comments on my videos in the last month, I haven't answered you. Although yesterday I did go through and I answered a couple of the comments, but mostly I just hearted a bunch of comments because I'm not great at answering comments anyway. So sorry about that, guys, but I'm probably never going to be great at answering comments on YouTube. That's just, I'm not great at typing conversations with people. I'm good at like talking shit out, but texting and stuff is not my strong suit anymore. Anyway, so I made a playlist. So this last month, I was listening to a lot more like records and cassette tapes and stuff like that. And I made a playlist on my Spotify of my favorite Roxy music because I kind of got back into Roxy music again. So here's my visual representation of that. This is actually my mom's record that it still has the plastic on it from like, when did this album come out? Hold on, let me look at the back. 1979. So it had this sticker on it, includes the single Dance Away. Since 1979, it has had that sticker on it. And for some reason, I'm just leaving the plastic on it. Just because. But this is her record. I don't know if she knows that I stole it from her. But in particular, I just kind of like, I listened to a lot of Roxy music this last month. And they are kind of like 70s glam, kind of like glam lounge, glam rock / lounge music. It's so fun. I've loved them for a long time, but in the past I would have said that my favorite album of theirs is Country Life, and it might still be Country Life, but if it is, then Manifesto is a close second. I love this album. Here's the back. Sorry, it's hard to with the plastic on it, but love it so much. So that's another one of my favorites from February. So now I can get the record out of the way. Ooh, I'll put it back here and you might actually be able to kind of see it. Barely. Okay, whatever. It's there. Next, okay, so what do I want to show next? So I brought a movie over to my mom's house. I go hang out with my mom every Thursday night. We have pizza together and we watch like movies and TV shows and all kinds of stuff, and we just really get into it together of like, you know, just lots of couch time. That's my like sort of indulgent night too, where I try to keep myself from drinking Pepsi for the most part, but I do allow myself to have Pepsi on Thursday nights. But anyway, I brought this movie over to my mom's house because she recently watched The Suicide Squad and she really liked it. That's not the type of movie that my mom would normally like. And since she liked it and she really liked Harley Quinn, I brought this over to her house and we watched it together last week. This movie, you guys, if you have not seen it, Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, it is so much fun. Like, as far as like comic book movies and stuff are concerned, I'm a little bit fatigued by them in general, but Harley Quinn is an exception to that, and this movie in particular is just fun. It is written and directed by women. There's a lot of women behind the scenes in this movie, and there's a lot of women in front of the camera, as you can see here, all women on the cover of this DVD. And it's just fun. It's the fighting choreography is really fun and interesting, and beautiful. Like the cinematography is great. The set pieces are all a lot of fun. There's like an action scene that includes like being on roller skates and going through like a carnival type atmosphere, and it's whimsical, it's fun. It's just, I saw this when it was in theaters, which was right before the pandemic hit. So it was like early March 2020 is when I saw this in the theater. And I fucking loved it. And then I bought it digitally because they were making it available since it was still in theaters when everything shut down at first. And then I bought it on DVD as well. And I'm so happy that I gave money to this movie 3 separate times. I highly recommend it. This reminds me of Tank Girl. If you guys have ever seen Tank Girl, most people haven't, but it's just a good time, fun, mayhem. It's just great. Visually entertaining, lots of great costumes and set design, and also the sound editing in this movie. Like, if you're the type of person, most people don't think about this shit, but if you're the type of person that when you're watching action movies, you constantly have to turn it way down whenever the action scenes happen and then turn it way back up again whenever people are actually speaking so that you can fucking hear what they're saying in the dialogue, that is not a problem with this movie. This movie, my mom and I never had to adjust the volume once, and that is saying something with us. This movie is, it also has a great soundtrack, great sound editing. It's just so much fun. And if you missed out on it, like a lot of people did, it's worth it. Find it, watch it, love it. Okay. Wait, I want everything to be out. I'm gonna put my JBG back here behind my candle. Okay. Next, let's do the books next. So I have 2 books that I really, really loved in February. One was a reread and one was I was reading for the first time. So let's go with the reread first. I've actually already featured this on a favorites video, but this is Lurking by Joanne McNeill. See where I can hold it so you can see it and I won't set it on fire. Okay, this works. So this movie, How a Person Became a User. Oh my God. So maybe there's some, I know I highlighted some things in this. This book is, so here are like the chapter names: Search, Anonymity, Visibility, Sharing, Clash, Community, and Accountability. So this is just sort of like kind of a personal, it's like a history of the internet. And also it's just, Joanne McNeill has such a lyrical way of writing that's just so beautiful. I want to get to some parts that I actually highlighted. The price of instant convenience is perpetual ephemerality. I guess I didn't highlight as much as I thought I did. Okay, here we go. Here's a little chunk I'll read for you. I am transported back to the physical space that was obliterated when I entered cyberspace. The white walls, the tan carpet under my feet, and the cumbersome beige box of a personal computer in front of me. So this is like late 80s, early 90s internet right here. The keys, a sierra of peaks and slopes, felt heavy and pressurized at every click. Nothing like the uniform flat buttons I'm tapping as I write this. I shared that computer with the rest of my family. That is where I grew up, immobile and hunched over while resplendent in release, my feet there and my head elsewhere. So this is just like, I love the way that this person writes. I love, it's just, she is probably around my age. So I am an elder millennial. Like, I'm barely a millennial. Like, I'm in like the first 3 years of millennials, because I was born in 1982. So this person like writes from a perspective of growing up with the internet in the same way that I did. So it's nostalgic, but it's also like, does, especially in the later chapters, she does like deep dives on like the way that the internet is now, and the way that you know, places like Facebook and Google have come about and how they operate. And this was just a great book for me to read during my no internet February, for sure. And this is not like a book, this isn't like an anti-internet book. It's not a pro or anti-internet book. It's like, it's not overly nostalgic about the internet of yesteryear. It's not overly critical of the internet of now. It's pretty objective, but it's also a personal story of the internet, but it's also not too personal. I don't know. It's just like the best balance of, like, if you're looking for like a cultural treatise on the internet, this is a fucking amazing book. And this is the second time I've read it. My other favorite book from February is called Trainwreck: The Women We Love to Hate, Mock, and Fear, and Why. So this is a book about how in our society we villainize women. It's just, that's what Sadie Doyle writes about. I've read her other book, which is called, what is it called? Dead Blondes and Bad Mothers, which is about how we, in pop culture in specific, demonize women and turn them into villains and monsters, particularly in horror movies, but that's not the whole thing. And this one's more about how we turn women as celebrities into villains. We tend to, like, if you're not the perfect woman, then you are a train wreck. So like, we're talking about Amy Winehouse, Britney Spears, Amanda Bynes, people like that. And it's just, it's a feminist book, but it's like, again, it's not, kind of like what I said about Joanne McNeil. It's not the type of feminist book that's like telling you how it is and telling you all the fucking stats. You know how sometimes like you're reading a feminist book and it's just like telling you all these fucking stats about like, I don't know, about like wage gaps and stuff like that. And like, yeah, those stats are important, but like, just give me a graph. If you're just gonna spout facts at me, give me a graph. But this is much more like reflective than that. And let's see. Here we go. I'll just read this random thing that I highlighted. Death seals the deal for train wrecks. It grants them their glamour. It makes them not worthy of attention. They always have that. It's our primary weapon against them, but worthy of love. And that love, I would submit, is half nostalgia and half relief. It's the care we give once we're not being asked to care anymore. So that was just a particular segment of the book where she was talking about how we tend to act like we loved them all along, and it's such a loss to lose them once they die, such as Princess Diana, whenever people were constantly criticizing her in life, but then they act like she was such a perfect, wonderful creature once she's gone. Okay, I don't know if this is going to make sense without context, but talking about Amy Winehouse. They have offended us by succeeding, despite the countless social structures and conventions that try to prevent women like them from even existing. by being wealthy, famous, public, without even bothering to obey the rules of quiet acquiescence that we try to drum into little girls' heads from the day they're born. So this was just a beautiful book. I actually have had this book I got it for Christmas in 2020. So Michael gave it to me for Christmas of 2020 and I just read it. So really, really good. Highly recommend if you're into like reflective, cultural critiques of like feminist critiques, cultural feminist reflective critiques of society. If you're into that shit, also provides lots of validation for like, I don't know, whenever I read a really great feminist book, it just gives me a lot of validation for like all the ways in which I feel inadequate in the world as a woman. A lot of fun topics there. Okay, let's move on to something so my big comfort thing of February. Oh my God. I can't believe what I'm about to show you. I bought at the very beginning of the month, in preparation for my no internet February, I bought the first 9 seasons of Bones. The second season is not here because it's in my DVD player right now. This show, I mean, most people have seen it, but it is a comfort show for me because it, I think that Temperance Brennan, who plays the character affectionately known as Bones, we'll go through. Okay, there's season 9. I found these on eBay. Like, there are 12 seasons of this show, but I only bought the first 9 because I don't know if I'm going to care to go beyond that. But I've seen this show before. I think I've seen every episode. I think it's possible I haven't, but I think I've seen every episode. I don't know why, like, this particular one is just such a thick case. Anyway, whatever. Okay, this will be our visual. Here we go. So this is a comfort show for me. I have watched it possibly all the way through, maybe not, but this show is just, it's one of those, like, it's a fucking procedural. I do think that Temperance Brennan, the character, I think she is coded. They don't outright ever say, as far as I know, they don't outright ever say that she's autistic, but she's kind of coded as autistic. Emily Deschanel is the actress. I just really like the show. It's just, it's got lots of hot people in it. Do we have a picture? Oh yeah, here we go. A picture of like the main cast. This is not a great picture of him, but the guy, whoever plays Jack Hodgins, I'm super into him because he always has like a beard and usually he has like longer curly hair. Angela Montenegro is this character's name, and she's also really hot and I have a crush on her. David Boreanaz, like, I don't really care about him, but I like his character in this show. It's just a very easy to, it's easy on the palate. This show is easy on the palate for me. It's just like they're solving mysteries of people's deaths. There's like the sort of like sexual tension between the two main characters that is not satisfied until several seasons in, which I love that shit. And I like the sort of like juxtaposition between like, he's the sort of, this is a very Mulder and Scully for our generation. Oh my God. I don't know how to talk about Bones because it's just, to me, it's like a basic bitch thing, but I love it so much. And I've been watching like 2 episodes a night most of February and also so far in March as well. I'm probably going to blow through all 9 seasons and then I might have to buy the last 3. And I love owning this show finally because it is a comfort show for me and I have really enjoyed it at different times in my life when I just need something that's comforting. This is it for me, and I'm just really enjoying spending some time in my recliner watching Bones every night. Okay, let's stop talking about that because it feels weird to talk about that. Trying to make it pretty so you can see what's up. Okay, so you can kind of see what's up. Anyway, so I think that's everything except for, I think I have one left, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the record. Okay, yes. So the 8th thing is Tarot of the Cat People. So this is a deck, like everything here, with the exception of the JBG Mini Trainwreck, which I have had for a while, but I just read it for the first time, and Tomb Bear, the Perfume. Like everything else is just like a reread or a rewatch, or like in the case of Tarot of the Cat People, I've had this deck since November 2018. So I've had it over 3 years now. Oh, this is like my favorite card in the deck right here. And so this became like a favorite of February because I was using it just last week. And I decided to swap it in for one of my 10 decks for Lent, even though I didn't originally think I was going to use it during Lent. But I decided to swap it in because it was just taking such good care of me. Okay, so the explanation here is I was using the Ludi Lesket Tarot. And that is a deck that is psychologically difficult. It is a deck that deals with misogyny and trauma. And I can't decide if it does it in a good way, or I think it does it in a good way, but it's a psychologically trying deck to use. And so I was using Ludi Lesket, I think last week. Yeah, it was just last week. And I got like 2/3 of the way through the week and I just couldn't work with it anymore. It was just too upsetting for me. And it's not one that I think it's one that I'm going to keep. I think it's going to be permanent in my collection, but it was just, I was too emotional and I couldn't work with it anymore. The combination of right now for my Buffy podcast, I'm talking about season 6. So if you know anything about Buffy, that is a really, really difficult season to talk about psychologically, particularly if you've been in any kind of domestic abuse relationships or just abusive relationships in general. But it's a really difficult season to talk about, and mix that with me working with Ludi Lesket last week, I needed something to kind of put me back together again. And this deck was just a warm hug. Look at this little guy. Oh my God, look at that face. This deck just put me back together again. It really did. And it made me feel so loved. Anyway, I love this deck. This is the deck that kind of got me into tarot again. Because this was a gift from like a family friend back in November 2018. And it's what started the whole obsession. He had, I know I've told the story like 1,000 times, but I just think it's so cute. He had this deck. The cards were still in the wrapper. Like he had never taken them out. Like the box didn't have a wrapper on it, but the cards did. And he had it in his house since the 80s. And he was just like holding on to it for the eventual day that he would give it to someone. And he decided I was the person to give it to. And I'm so grateful for that. And this was the first like RWS type deck that I had ever held in my hands. And anyway, I have since decided that this deck is the voice of my cat Max, who was this beautiful, beautiful Siamese cat that I had from the early 90s until her death in 2011. And I decided that this is the voice of Max. And I've just never felt such pure love for a creature before meeting Max. And she is a soulmate for me. And I really hope someday soon she reincarnates and comes back to me in the body of some new pet. But for now, she speaks to me through this tarot deck, and one of my favorite cards right here. I love the pages in this deck. Anyway, this deck is just like a beautiful warm hug. I love it so much. And so it's one of my favorites of February. So there you go. Those are all my favorites. In my No Internet February, I did read a lot more. Like getting through books like this, like nonfiction kind of thinkier books was possible for me, staying off the internet in February. And yeah, I watched a lot of Bones. I read some books. I used some tarot decks. I really had a good time in February for sure, and just making it pretty. I really had a really good time in February, and I enjoy doing this, so hopefully I will do like a favorites every month. I don't know. What do you guys think? Does that sound fun? Thanks for hanging out with me for half an hour. I love you guys.